The views, opinions, and representations expressed on the Night Dreams Talk Radio Network and its website are those of the hosts, guests, and participants, and are not necessarily those of or endorsed by the network, its affiliated stations and broadcasts, the management, other hosts, or advertisers of the network. The shows found on the Night Dreams Talk Radio Network can, but do not necessarily, promote any particular lifestyle, belief, religion, political affiliation, or other personal practice. These shows are for entertainment purposes only, and are not intended to treat, diagnose, and or claim any cure of disease or condition, or give any medical or legal advice. You are listening to Night Dreams Talk Radio Network, from our compound to you worldwide, with your host, Gary Anderson.
And that is me. Boy, a new week starting out, a new fresh week. Hopefully we don't get any snow down at the compound this week. I tell you, I'm all snowed out. We've had more snow in the last 3 weeks up here at the compound than we have had in 20 some odd years. Crazy. And they say that earth changes aren't going on. Well, this week we're going to be talking a lot about UFOs, aliens and disclosure and UFO sightings and abductions and implants all week long. So anyway, tonight we got a great guest. He'll be on right after this commercial. We have Charles-van-Heyden back on by popular demand. We'll be right back with Charles.
Please check out the Night Dreams Talk Radio website at www.nightdreamstalkradio.com. Also, if you want to keep our show free of advertising, just hit the donate button. Give a buck or two. Remember, all prior shows are always free to listen to. We at Night Dreams Talk Radio thank you for your support. You are listening to Night Dreams Talk Radio Network, from our compound to you worldwide, with your host, Gary Anderson.
Well, Charles, how's your day going for you, my friend?
Gary, it's going pretty well. You know, we've had, you were speaking about the snows, and we've had the, commensurate amount of rain here in the Tennessee area for the last 3.5 months. We had, out of that many days, we had 4 days with sunshine, which lasted maybe 8 hours any one of those days. So we know about inclement weather here, that's for sure. So, but otherwise, I've had a pretty decent day. I do like to play tennis. I was watching some of the Indian Wells matchups just before I came home to speak with you and your listeners.
Oh, wow. And you said you had some shout-outs here with some friends tonight. Go ahead and certainly do that.
Yeah, my brother who's up your way, he's up in Oregon near the Columbia River, Randy, and a fellow here by the name of Paul, where I live, very interested in UFOs, aliens, and things like that, and hopefully he's listening, and so I just want to say hi to them.
Oh, wow. And you have a new, instead of your website for giving out, if people want to contact you tonight on the show, let's get that out here at least twice here tonight. How can they get a hold of you?
Yeah. I wanted to make it easy. It's just Alien Expert 1. I couldn't be Alien Expert 0 because someone had already taken that. So Alien Expert 1 is at gmail.com. This way you can reach me directly if you have any curiosities, questions, or if you want me to do any research on a particular subject associated with tonight's topics. I will be glad to work on it, and then next time we're on, I'll give the answer or give the answer to you. You can give out if you like.
Oh, we can always get you back on here again next month. I mean, the people love it when you're on the show.
Well, good. I like to run a show that's a little bit structured, you know. I like to go through things in either sequence or take up one topic and really beat it down to where there's no more to talk about it, and just get it totally out in the open. So if we can go that direction, I've got a bit of an outline here, but I know you like to come up with things, on the sideline, and that's fine. I like to listen to your stories as much as telling my stories, so that's fine.
Well,
I like to keep it structured.
Okay, one thing, though, is I don't like scripted shows. And lately, I've had a couple guests coming on, and, we talked beforehand, hey, no scripted show. And it was to the point I couldn't even ask a question. In 2 hours' time, it was like, going right down a movie script. And I'm going, wow, I don't like that. But it's one thing I do want to ask you, and then we can take it any way you want tonight. Disclosure. Right. A lot of people think disclosure is going to happen here in the next few weeks or the next month or so. It's been a big frenzy on all the media, like Facebook and on Twitter and all that stuff, of people saying, oh, it's going to be disclosure. I got information, groundbreaking information. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, Charles. I've heard this since 1976 when I first started broadcasting. And, it hasn't really been anything major hit.
No, I don't think it's going to be that blatant because, for one reason, you've got people, and I'm talking about individuals. I'm not talking about the government, as a mass, but they're individuals, mostly military. They want to maintain. I think I might have mentioned this to you last time we were talking. They want to maintain their authority and their status, and of course their funding. In a position where they're protecting Americans. So they're going to be very protective of information that would put them in the light of a lesser power than, let's say, a visiting civilization that can go from there, light years away to our planet in a matter of days. So it's going to be it's going to probably seep out, much like the WikiLeaks.
Oh, yeah.
Or WikiLeaks, Snowden type thing, it's going to leak here and there. It'll be leaked, and it'll be on the internet probably before it gets to the newspapers.
I don't know. I think the government has covered it up so long that I just don't think the government's going to reverse, coming out, because if they did, it would make the government look nothing more like they lie to the general public, and then people are going to start saying, "Oh, if you've been lying about UFOs, what else are you lying about?" Oh yeah. Well, the government, when we say the government, unfortunately, most people forget that we are the government, but those people that are in a post as a government official have that a power on a communication line to say, don't say this, say that instead, tell this short story, and so forth and so on. So you're right. It's not going to be something that they want to admit now or in the future, because it puts them in light of telling fables. Oh, yeah.
Essentially.
So what topic do you want to talk about tonight? And I'll let you go for it, and I'll ask you questions during what you have to say.
Since we've talked about the alien and UFO phenomena, I thought we'd start at the beginning, according to the records. Instead of talking about hearsay or what somebody saw and don't have any evidence to show it, I thought the records might be a telling way to go tonight, and our listeners might get a big send out of it. So I wanted to start with the idea that if we look at the pyramids, if we look at the clay tablets, we look at the pictographs that have been unearthed over the last 200 years by archaeologists and explorers, these are very similar to like a time capsule. You've seen a time capsule, you've heard of a time capsule where the United States decides to put artifacts, radios and documents and CDs into a time capsule, and they bury it. And it's supposed to last 100 years, 200 years, 50 years. They have different time capsules when they will emerge, just to see at that time what people will have learned from the time when they buried the time capsule with artifacts from our generation. See, so I'm taking a look at these pyramids and these clay tablets and pictographs as really time capsules. And these people wanted to preserve their knowledge and their culture and let people who come after them see what there was to see and learn what there is to learn. So I wanted to start there. And one of the great sources I go to for the information, because I haven't traveled over to the pyramids yet, and I haven't done investigations on foot, on the land itself. I use Zecharia Sitchin's books, all of which I have now read thoroughly, couple of times, and he is a scholar of scholars because he could read the original Akkadian language, which is even older than Hebrew. And he was able to decipher many things that other scholars couldn't decipher correctly. And there are, of course, a few other scholars out there that ho-hum and they counter say what he says, but he's has so many books out that are so well knitted together. I consider him the scholar to go to. His name is Sitchin Zechariah. He's gone now. I think he's been gone about 6 or 7 or 8 years.
Yeah, he is.
He has a body of work that's just phenomenal. And I wanted to start there 4,000 years ago, 2000 BC or later, or earlier. And I wanted to just give a little bit of a timeline as he does, because I have something to add to it. He states that you have Stonehenge, which goes back about 2,000 years before BC, and he has the pyramids, which are a little bit younger, and he, in his books, particularly the one about the one I just read, When Time Began, he mentions that there's a connection. Even though the pyramids are thousands of miles away from Stonehenge, there are clues in the building of each that show that the mastermind or the builder was the same, either actually the same person or God, and was instrumental also in coming across the Atlantic and doing similar things for the Incas and the Aztecs many years later. So he's drawn these conclusions from actual records in stone and in clay, and that's what's so exciting and so interesting about it. It's no longer hypotheses or conjecture. He actually proves everything that he talks about with factual records, with actual artifacts. So that's why I wanted to start there. And if I may, you've heard of the Illuminati, right?
Oh, yeah.
You've probably spoken about them in the past.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there's still, and this may be a great interest to our listeners who haven't ever thought about this, but there are two very, very well-known symbols which are still extant in our society and culture, and that is the eye, which is found on the back of many of our $1 bills, or $5 and $10 bills, over the pyramid. That is the Illuminati eye, the all-seeing eye. And that comes directly from Egyptian mythology. I'm going to say it's mythology, but Sitchin proves it's not mythology. It actually coincides with biblical records. And then there's the caduceus, which is what people know as the symbol for medical, the medicos, doctors and so forth, which is the